Why do those destined to lead often feel like they don't belong anywhere? You felt it, that gnawing ache of isolation, the restless wonder of why you seem out of place in every room you enter. It's as though the world spins on a rhythm you can't dance to, leaving you on the fringes, watching. But what if this alienation wasn't a flaw, but a calling? Throughout history and within spiritual traditions, leaders have been set apart, not because they are less, but because they are meant for more. Could it be that the solitude you endure is not a punishment, but preparation for a destiny only you can fulfill? The first reason leaders often feel disconnected is their extraordinary ability to perceive what others overlook. Visionaries are not born into the comfort of conformity. They are forged by their capacity to glimpse a future no one else can see. Yet this foresight is often met with skepticism or outright hostility. If you've ever felt like your ideas are too bold or your perspective too unconventional, you're not alone. Galileo Galilei exemplifies this struggle. In an era when the entire world believed Earth was the center of the universe, Galileo dared to prove otherwise. His observations through a telescope revealed the truth, yet this truth was unwelcome. Ridiculed, condemned and placed under house arrest, Galileo's brilliance was eclipsed by society's fear of change. For years, his work remained controversial, but it eventually revolutionized science, proving that the clarity of vision often isolates leaders before it elevates them. This burden of vision can feel crushing. Imagine seeing paths others cannot fathom, only to find yourself standing at the crossroads alone. Leaders like Sojourner Truth bore this burden with unparalleled courage. Born into slavery, she envisioned a world free of chains, both physical and societal. As an abolitionist and advocate for women's rights, she was decades ahead of her time. Yet her words, powerful as they were, often fell on deaf ears. People doubted her dreams because they could not match her perspective. Still, she pressed forward, standing alone so others might eventually walk beside her. Why does this happen? Because transformational leaders live in a state of constant friction with the status quo. They ask questions that challenge the comfortable, present ideas that disrupt the familiar and pursue dreams that seem impossible. This ability to see beyond the present moment is not just a gift, it is an obligation. The discomfort you feel when others dismiss or misunderstand your vision is the same discomfort the world feels when it's being asked to change. Even in everyday life, this pattern holds true. Think about the times you've suggested a better way to handle a process at work or proposed an innovative idea in your community, only to be met with resistance. That resistance doesn't mean you're wrong. On the contrary, it means you're ahead. Just as Galileo and Sojourner Truth discovered, those who see the future must endure the loneliness of waiting for others to catch up. So when you feel that ache of isolation, know this: it's not because you don't belong, it's because you are meant to lead. True leadership is marked by the courage to stand firm in your vision, even when it feels like the world has turned its back. The inability to belong isn't a flaw, it's a sign. Leaders don't just accept the status quo, they shatter it. If this reminds you of your own path, I want you to comment below. I lead because I see. Let's connect as visionaries and reaffirm the courage it takes to step ahead of the crowd. If this aligns with your spirit, you may also feel called to hit subscribe. Otherwise, you may miss out on critical spiritual downloads. The second reason leaders often struggle with belonging is their persistent sense of being out of sync with the world around them. Leaders don't simply observe the flaws in the system, they feel them deeply and personally. It's as if they operate on a frequency others can't hear. This dissonance, while alienating, is essential to their ability to create meaningful change. Take the story of Frida Kahlo. As a woman in early 20th century Mexico, she was no stranger to marginalization, yet her challenges went beyond societal expectations. Struck by tragedy after a life-altering bus accident, Kahlo channeled her physical pain and emotional turmoil into her art. Her vivid self-portraits defied conventions, breaking cultural barriers and redefining artistic expression. At the time, her work was considered unconventional, even strange, but today, her art is celebrated globally for its honesty and depth. Frida's experience reminds us that being out of sync is often the hallmark of those destined to break molds and shift paradigms. This same pattern appears in the life of Nikola Tesla. Tesla, whose name is now synonymous with innovation, spent much of his life misunderstood and underappreciated. His visionary concepts like wireless electricity and alternating current were so ahead of his time that they seemed fantastical to his peers. Financial struggles, public ridicule and isolation defined much of his career. Yet his work laid the foundation for modern technology, proving that what once seemed out of sync was in fact the future. For many leaders, this sense of disconnection starts early. In school, perhaps you were the one who couldn't sit still because your mind was racing with ideas. In your social circle, you may have found it hard to relate to surface-level conversations, craving deeper, more meaningful exchanges. This isn't a defect, it's your calling card. Leaders feel out of sync because they're meant to operate differently. They're designed to question what others accept and to disrupt what others preserve. Even personal pain can magnify this disconnect. Frida Kahlo's physical suffering gave her art its raw emotional resonance, just as Tesla's obsessive nature drove his relentless pursuit of progress. The struggles that separate you from the crowd are the same forces that shape your ability to lead. They forge resilience, empathy, and clarity of purpose, qualities that only emerge through hardship. If you've ever felt like you're marching to the beat of your own drum, take heart. That rhythm is uniquely yours, and it's not meant to match the world's cadence. Leaders are out of sync because they're tasked with creating a new tempo entirely. The very qualities that make you feel off now are the ones that will enable you to reshape your environment later. Remember, leadership is not about fitting in, it's about standing out. The discomfort of feeling misaligned with the world is not a sign of failure, but of transformation. Like Kahlo and Tesla, your strange ideas and unconventional ways may be the seeds of something revolutionary. Now I want you to listen very closely. They say the truth will set you free, but most can't handle it. For the chosen ones in the Obsidian inner order, it's not just the truth. It's the whole cosmic download, no sugarcoating, no escape. This week, we bring you a story you'll never hear on YouTube. A chosen one who broke free from the clutches of a satanic cult and found redemption in the divine. It's raw, it's real, and it's exactly the kind of revelation that would make an Archon sweat. In the inner order, we don't just talk, we gather. Weekly calls with over 400 ascended souls, diving deep into the secrets they don't want you to know. We're not for the faint of heart, and we're definitely not for muggles. I don't always share my secrets, but when I do, it's in the Obsidian inner order. Click the link in the description. Stay chosen, my friends. The third reason leaders often feel disconnected is that isolation serves a critical purpose. It prepares them for their unique journey. While solitude can feel like a punishment, it is in reality a refining process. Leaders are often set apart to create space for introspection, growth, and the development of a clarity of vision that cannot be achieved amid the noise of the crowd. Throughout history, some of the greatest leaders endured seasons of isolation that shaped their purpose. Consider the story of Moses, a man once raised as a prince of Egypt. After killing an Egyptian overseer, Moses fled to the wilderness, spending decades as a shepherd. To some, it might have seemed like his life had been derailed, but in truth, his time in isolation was a period of preparation. It was during these quiet years that Moses developed the resilience, humility, and connection to his higher purpose that would later enable him to lead an entire nation to freedom. Isolation fosters resilience in a way that no other experience can. Without the distractions of external validation, leaders are forced to confront their true selves. In the solitude of their thoughts, they wrestle with doubts, fears, and uncertainties, emerging stronger and more focused. Think about moments in your life when you've been forced to walk alone. Perhaps it was a difficult career decision, a personal loss, or a time when your values set you apart from those around you. Though painful, those moments shaped your character and honed your vision. Isolation also creates the opportunity for profound clarity. Removed from the chaos of societal expectations, leaders can strip away superficial desires and align themselves with their higher purpose. For example, Mahatma Gandhi regularly embraced periods of silence and reflection, even in the midst of leading a revolutionary movement. These moments allowed him to refine his strategy and strengthen his resolve. His solitude was not an escape, but a tool for transformation. You might feel othered because your mission is one that others cannot yet comprehend. Leaders are not meant to follow, they are meant to create new paths. Solitude allows you to step back and see the bigger picture, something that is often invisible to those caught in the day-to-day rush. Like an artist standing before a blank canvas, you need the stillness to envision what could be before picking up the brush. Even in nature, the concept of isolation as preparation is evident. Consider a caterpillar inside its cocoon. To the outside observer, it may seem as though nothing is happening, but within, a remarkable transformation is underway. When the butterfly finally emerges, it is not the same creature that entered the cocoon. So too, your seasons of isolation are not times of inactivity, they are periods of profound change. Your solitude, no matter how painful it may feel, is not meaningless. It's a necessary step in becoming the leader you're meant to be. Embrace the silence, the discomfort, and the loneliness, knowing that they are shaping you for a mission only you can fulfill. As Moses learned in the wilderness, as Gandhi discovered in his moments of stillness, and as countless others have experienced, isolation is not the end of the story, it's the beginning. If this hits you deep, I dare you to shout in the comments, "From solitude I conquer." Let's flood the feed with strength and defiance. The fourth reason leaders often feel disconnected is that their greatest growth comes from adversity, not comfort. Trials and challenges are not obstacles, they are the training ground for leadership. Without adversity, leaders cannot develop the resilience and strength needed to fulfill their roles. True leaders are shaped in the crucible of difficulty. Consider Harriet Tubman, born into slavery and forced to endure unimaginable hardship. Her adversity did not break her. It refined her, giving her the courage to escape and lead countless others to freedom. Tubman's story reminds us that adversity builds the tools leaders need to make an impact. Challenges also foster independence and resourcefulness. When leaders are forced to rely on their inner strength rather than external support, they cultivate an unshakable confidence. For example, Malala Yousafzai faced violent opposition simply for advocating for education. Her survival and unwavering determination proved that adversity doesn't destroy leaders, it galvanizes them. Isolation often accompanies these challenges, but it serves a purpose. It removes distractions and external influences, forcing leaders to focus on their inner resolve. Without the noise of others, leaders can find clarity and direction, making decisions rooted in purpose rather than convenience. Even in your own life, adversity may have shown you strengths you didn't know you had. Whether it was overcoming personal loss, facing rejection, or pushing through a significant obstacle, those experiences likely taught you lessons that shaped who you are today. Far from being a punishment, adversity is a preparation. It equips leaders with the perspective, empathy, and grit to inspire others. Leaders like Tubman and Malala demonstrate that the hardships they faced were the foundation for their transformative leadership. When the path feels difficult and the burden heavy, remember this: every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Leadership requires the strength to face adversity head-on, knowing that each trial is shaping you into the leader you're destined to become. The fifth reason leaders often feel disconnected is because they carry unique burdens tied to their higher purpose. Their journey isn't random, it's intentional, preparing them to fulfill roles that demand extraordinary strength and vision. Throughout history, leaders who have achieved greatness often bore challenges that seemed overwhelming. Take Nelson Mandela, who endured decades of imprisonment. While many saw his time in isolation as a punishment, it was during those years that Mandela refined his resolve and his vision for a unified South Africa. His higher purpose gave him the strength to endure what others could not. Leaders are often misunderstood, and this is no coincidence. Their experiences and trials prepare them to empathize with and guide others. Consider Jesus Christ, whose rejection and ultimate sacrifice changed the course of history. Though misunderstood and crucified, his example shows that being set apart is often part of a greater plan. The weight of leadership can feel isolating, but it is also empowering. The burdens you carry are not meant to break you, they are meant to prepare you. Every challenge, every rejection, and every misstep is equipping you for a role that only you can fulfill. In your own life, think about the moments when you felt singled out or burdened with responsibilities others avoided. Those experiences weren't random, they were preparing you for something greater. True leaders don't stumble into their roles, they're shaped for them through purposeful challenges. To lead is to accept that you are set apart, carrying a mission that may not yet be visible to others. The struggles and burdens of today are the foundation for the breakthroughs of tomorrow. Like Mandela and Christ, your purpose isn't just about you, it's about the lives you'll impact through your journey. The sixth reason leaders often feel disconnected is because solitude is a powerful tool for self-mastery. Walking alone isn't a weakness, it's an intentional process that allows leaders to grow, reflect, and refine their purpose. Consider Malcolm X. At a critical point in his journey, he distanced himself from popular organizations to re-examine his beliefs and refine his message. This period of solitude allowed him to emerge as a more focused, authentic leader whose impact transcended divisions. Solitude gave him clarity and strengthened his resolve to lead with conviction. Self-mastery begins with introspection. Leaders who embrace solitude create space to confront their doubts, reassess their goals, and align their actions with their principles. Mahatma Gandhi, for example, regularly practiced periods of silence and isolation. These moments of quiet reflection were not retreats, but opportunities to fortify his inner strength, shaping the philosophy that inspired millions. When distractions are removed, leaders can sharpen their focus. The noise of external influences often dilutes vision, but solitude allows leaders to see with clarity. In these moments, confidence and independence are cultivated, forming the backbone of effective leadership. Even in your own experience, solitude may have been a source of growth. Perhaps you've used time alone to process challenges, brainstorm ideas, or build resilience after setbacks. These moments, though quiet, are where leadership begins, within yourself. Walking alone doesn't mean you're lost, it means you're growing. Solitude allows you to build unshakable confidence and independence, essential qualities for leaders tasked with forging new paths. The journey towards self-mastery isn't always easy, but it is transformative. As Malcolm X and Gandhi demonstrated, solitude is not isolation, it's preparation. It's where leaders develop the strength to stand alone and the wisdom to guide others. Embrace the silence, knowing it's shaping you into the leader you're meant to be. The seventh reason leaders often feel disconnected is that they redefine success by challenging established norms. Outsiders, those who never seem to fit into conventional molds, are often the ones who create new paradigms and propel societies forward. Consider Marie Curie. In a time when women were excluded from most scientific pursuits, she not only entered the field, but also excelled, earning 2 Nobel Prizes in separate sciences. Her achievements broke barriers, proving that redefining success requires defying societal limitations. Curie's determination to pursue knowledge despite exclusion changed the way the world views women in science. Outsiders often see opportunities where others see impossibilities. Winston Churchill, known for his unconventional leadership style, faced criticism and doubt for much of his career. Yet his refusal to conform to traditional approaches during World War II allowed him to rally a nation and guide Britain through its darkest hours. Churchill's outsider perspective became his greatest strength, reshaping what effective leadership looked like. For many leaders, the feeling of not belonging stems from their ability to question norms and challenge the status quo. In your own life, think about moments when you've been labeled different for pursuing a path that others couldn't understand. That difference, while isolating, is often the very thing that drives progress. Outsiders thrive because they aren't bound by conventional thinking. They innovate, adapt, and envision possibilities that others overlook. This ability to see beyond the established framework allows them to create success on their own terms. Leadership isn't about conforming, it's about transforming. The discomfort of being an outsider is the catalyst for change, forcing leaders to think creatively and act boldly. Like Curie and Churchill, your willingness to stand apart is what positions you to redefine success for yourself and others. The next time you feel out of place, remember this: those who don't belong are the ones who build what's never been built before. They challenge the limits of what's possible, leaving behind legacies that inspire others to follow. The 8th reason leaders often feel disconnected is that their roles carry both human and divine responsibility. True leadership extends beyond personal ambition. It involves being entrusted with a mission that serves humanity and aligns with a higher purpose. Throughout history, great leaders have embraced this dual responsibility, often at great personal cost. Consider Jesus Christ, whose message of love and sacrifice was met with rejection, persecution, and ultimately crucifixion. Yet his leadership changed the world, demonstrating that divine missions often require enduring misunderstanding and immense challenges. Similarly, Moses serves as an example of how human inadequacies can align with divine purpose. A stuttering shepherd, he felt ill-equipped to lead millions of people out of Egypt. But through his obedience and resilience, Moses fulfilled a monumental task that reshaped the course of history. His story illustrates that divine responsibility often chooses the unlikeliest individuals to carry out extraordinary missions. This dual responsibility is not limited to historical figures. It applies to modern leaders as well. Whether through faith, intuition, or a deep sense of calling, leaders are often guided by forces greater than themselves. These guiding principles shape their decisions, giving them the strength to endure adversity and the clarity to pursue their vision. For many leaders, the weight of this responsibility can feel overwhelming. In your own life, you may have experienced moments where your goals seemed too significant or your burdens too heavy. Yet these challenges often point to a purpose that transcends personal gain, a purpose rooted in serving others. Carrying both human and divine responsibility means leading with authenticity and humility. It means recognizing that your role is not just about achieving success, but about fulfilling a mission that benefits those around you. Leaders who embrace this calling inspire others to find meaning and purpose in their own lives. Like Christ and Moses, your journey is about more than the tasks at hand. It's about embracing the unique role you've been given, understanding that your efforts contribute to a greater narrative. The challenges you face aren't barriers. They're steps on a path guided by both human resilience and divine intention. The final insight is this: leadership begins with accepting that you'll never fully belong. And that's exactly how it's meant to be. The figures who have shaped history, Tesla, Carlo, Tubman, did not conform, and it was their refusal to do so that made them extraordinary. Leadership requires standing apart, not as a rejection of others, but as a commitment to your unique purpose. Your path is yours alone, divinely guided and intentionally designed. Like Joseph in the Bible, whose isolation in Egypt prepared him to save his family and an entire nation, your struggles serve a greater purpose. Every moment of rejection, every obstacle, and every lonely night has been refining you for the role only you can fulfill. To lead is to embrace the discomfort of being set apart. It is to find strength in solitude, growth in adversity, and purpose in your journey. This is not a path for the faint of heart, but for those bold enough to walk it. The rewards are transformative, not just for yourself, but for the countless lives you'll impact. Now it's time to own your story. Reflect on the moments when you felt excluded and consider how those experiences have shaped your resilience, insight, and determination. Share your journey with others, because in doing so, you give permission for others to embrace their own. Your story is part of a greater narrative, a testament to the power of being set apart for a reason.